That's the only reason I noticed, because shoot.
No, it's okay. But all right. So once again, make sure you have numeric data. Let's do this again with high school GPA. Now that I'm recording, sound good?
I have one question. If you
Okay.
can go back to sheet 1, I know how to use the filter of when you put the pass column in there, but what I was not 100% sure about is did you just filter those and then just change them to 0 manually, or whatever the number you gave them?
Yeah. Or I can say, so yes, so yeah, that would be a 1, right? And I could easily just drag it all the way down.
For what's there?
Right.
Okay.
Or hold on. Or I could not filter at all and just leave it open. You know, y'all know I love Excel formulas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And say if that is equal to B, then 0, right? Value of false if it's equal to, C, then 1, right? But we're not going to do that. I'm just telling you, if you want to do a bunch of if then.
I tried that one before when it was, and that's what I was going to say. When you get 200, that's easy. You can just select. But we had something that had 3,000 in there, and I wanted to do that, and I was like, oh crap! I looked up that formula, and I couldn't get it to cooperate with me. But maybe we can do that another day.
It's easier to do transform or recode into new variable in SPSS.
Yeah.
Because you just tell it what to be, and it does it all for you. But yeah, that's all I did, y'all, was just simply recode them here manually.
And can you do stuff like that in SPSS and then send it back to say you want to do all of that fancy stuff it's more intuitive in SPSS, and then download the file and then upload it back in Excel? Just redo all the recoding.
There is there's an export to Excel option under file.
Okay, cool. Yeah, see, that might be useful, maybe.
Yeah, have y'all used that before? No.
Okay,
yeah, try it out. All right, let's go back and use high school GPA, right? So insert, scatter plot, right click, select data, add it. Our X values is going to be high school GPA. Drop it down. Y values are passing or not. Okay. Hit OK. Everything's there. Drop it down here a little bit so you can see it.
Oh, it didn't auto put the lines in there this time.
It didn't, did it? That's interesting, right? Nice. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Excel. So now, I mean, this is, of course, Excel kind of zeroes things out. I appreciate that, but for us to be able to actually see what's happening here, we know the lowest GPA it looks like is a 2. So let's just go to maybe 1.5. And we know the highest GPA is a 4, so let's just keep it at 4. And then this one, of course, the outcome is 1 and 0. And both of those major axes and the bounds. Voila, there you have it. You can easily see here, remember, what variable was not statistically significant, or actually was their strength was reduced when high school GPA was brought in. It was ACT, right? Look at that. I mean, all that clustering of the low high school GPAs here, and hardly any clustering or grouping of the low high school GPAs that pass the class. That tells me that this is going to be a much more of a predictive outcome, even though you do have some clustering over here on the far end of the GPA range. Remember also that yeah,
Okay, I'm loose. I'm slow today. We did these dots represent people who had a GPA and either passed or didn't pass. What their GPA, where's the GPA?
This is ACT score.
And
This
that
is
one is,
GPA.
okay, because I was like, I thought you were just redoing what you did above, and I was like, why do they look so different? Okay, I get it.
That's why. Yeah, that's why. Hey, Chris, have you had a snack today in class?
I had a protein shake. I tried to eat dinner, but I didn't like it, so I gave up.
Well, trying to help.
I know. Thank you.
But now look at this. You can visually see the relationship between these predictor variables and the outcome. Does this help y'all? Okay, cool. All right. So that was, again, using same data we did last time. Just wanted to give you that help. All right. Hey, guess what? You've got grouped assignments. You've got a project presentation to do. We are at 18 minutes after the hour. I told you I would try to squeeze in as much time as I can each week for y'all to meet and discuss. Here's the deal. It's a group project, right? Do you remember what we said as far as how many different types of analyses we're doing in each group? Okay,
One.
still two. So are you guessing, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. No, here's the deal. Two sets of analysis, right? Two presentations for each group. Basically each person presents and analyzes. You don't have to use different data. You can use the same data set, but you have to do different research. You have to do different analyses and questions, okay? Does that help?
I don't know.
Big thumbs up? You don't know, okay. But does that make sense?
So can be same data set. I'm just taking notes.
Yeah, taking notes. Go ahead.
And then two different analyses. I like analysis.
No, it's analyses. Logistic regression for both, right? But what I mean is different predictors, maybe even different outcomes, right? Just the same source data, right? Make sense? All right. Do y'all want to go into one breakout
I just want to make
room?
sure. Wait, I want to make sure I understand this. Although I know Kara will. So, like, if we were doing the squirrels, I could do flagging tails and age, and she could do gender and food or eating. Is that what you're saying? Not really.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I had to get my head out of chi-square. I was like, well, no, that's for chi-square, but yes, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. Now, what I don't want you to do is only have one predictor, right? You need to have multiple types of predictors. And even, yeah, like you said, Jody, different outcome variables even are fine. But yeah, good question.
And we're finding our own data set.
Yes. So my question for y'all is, do you want me to put you into two breakout groups so you can talk specifically about your project, or just one and let you all just talk about whatever you want to talk about for 20 minutes?
One is my vote.
Me too. We can break up later. I mean, like, we can work.
We're done, baby.
Just to make sure we're right.
It's not you, it's me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
all right,
we're just talking about it. We're just going to talk about, are we going to start, you want us to start looking for our data sets in this breakout?
Yeah,
I want you to use that 20 minutes as, yeah, you need to use 20 minutes to the best of your ability.
Okay.
And then are we done for the night?
No.
But your poor wife and the dog.
Yeah, they're outside.
Yeah,
I
but
had
you
to let
told
him
us
back in there.
last week we were getting out earlier and
I'm
then you did
joking.
not, and your poor wife
Hey,
was at home.
hey,
I'm just saying, she told
that.
us, she
All right.
called us.
Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my life. Okay. I get the same crap from my wife as I do my students. I'm joking. YouTube's
Maybe you
gonna.
need some more men in your class, Eric. I think that's the problem.
No, that's not about that. Y'all, I can handle it. Y'all are good. I said 20 minutes, right? We're way ahead of schedule. But everyone, thank you, Monta. Kaggle is a good resource. So 20 minutes, same room. We'll come back at 15 minutes before the hour's up. Okay, I'll stop in, check in on you. They are not outside, by the way. They're fine. They're fine. Thank you for your sympathy, though. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Well, we're gonna go
Okay.
make some up in our breakout.
I'm gonna pause the recording too. Okay. So let's talk about that Titanic.
I
Huh?
was thinking this is just
Mhm.
because, I mean, to me, it's the point of how the program works together is since we're taking the data visualization class, that we might be able to utilize some of that in our, how we visualize. I don't know. And it would be great if we can take that and use it in the other class. We'll see. Anyway.
Recycle.
Yeah.
Recycle.
Hey.
No, you're good. I do expect you to provide some frequency analysis about your population, like describe your populations, your samples, whatever they may be, right? So visualizing data there as well would be helpful. All right, okay. Let's talk about the Titanic.
It sank.
It did. Do y'all remember that quote in the Titanic where Rose was like freaking out on the deck of the boat and telling her mom that there's not enough boats and, there's only enough boats for about half people on the ship, which means half people are going to die. And do you remember that quote? Do you remember that moment in the movie?
Oh my God,
Kara does. Kara, huh?
That was so long. When would that movie come out?
In the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kara, what did the little jerk guy that she was supposed to be betrothed to say right after she said all that? Do you remember?
Zero recollection.
Oh, well, I mean, it stuck with me. He basically said, not this half, right?
That's
only
right.
half.
Ew.
Yeah, he was rude. He said, she was like, half people are going to die. And he was like, not this half, not our half, or something like that. Anyway, it's always stuck with me. And I found this data set, yes, on Kaggle quite a while back. But it is one that has, insert anything else into this file outside of it being from the Titanic, and it's real life, right? We look at outcomes like this, like mortality, admission, success, any of those things. So we do have this data set. Has anyone looked at it yet or not? Kara has. Okay, Kara, tell us about it. Why is it cool?
Did I tell you about it? Oh, it was really interesting. Actually, I immediately ordered everything by last name and started understanding the variables of, is it like spouse and sibling or parent and child? That was a really curious, like a lump together to me. And so I ordered them by family and started trying to understand that.
Yep. So there's a parent-child variable, and then there's a sibling spouse, or spouse sibling variable that helps you kind of organize who's related to who, right, on this ship. What else is there?
Age.
How much they paid.
I think the class of their birth, right? Like by birth, I mean BERTH, their spot on the boat. Isn't that like a 1, 2, 3 level?
Their ticket class.
Their ticket class.
First class.
What else? I'm trying to remember. Oh, I could of course open it and look at it. Whether they survived or did not survive. Yeah.
fare,
how much they paid.
Mhm.
cabin number.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. So I'm gonna I've directed you in part 1 to figure out, basically assess the cleanliness of the data set, right? What information is missing and how would that affect the analysis? Part 2, I'm going to direct you to do a logistic regression. I'll even tell you what block to put it in, right?
Yeah, thank
That
you.
must be, that's nice, right? Yeah, you're welcome. But part 2, like 2.2 or whatever it is, that second hierarchical binary logistic regression, that's you, right? That's your decision. But I want you to have reasons why you choose those variables in that order, okay? Have reasons. Can't be this, but it has to be something else. Also, this goes back to Chris and her discussion of her discussion. Remember to describe how you assign your categorical predictors, whether or not the indicator is looking at the first option or the second option, right? Like what's your reference group, right? Remember how you were talking about ages 50 to 54 being the reference group? I want you to be able to understand what you're making your reference group and why, okay?
I got that, but what I was saying was on the outcome. Like,
yes,
I don't understand, not the reference group, but of, like I said, my 2 outcomes were took this, did the screening, didn't do the screening. So 44% more likely to not do the screening or 44% to do the screening. How am I supposed to like it? I don't know. Is it the first thing? Is it the first column always? Is it assuming it's the first column?
When you have categorical predictors, you are not talking about a single outcome. You're talking about how likely the one group is, like one subgroup, right? Like women age 50 to 55, how likely they are to get that screening compared to women who are older or younger.
No, I understand that, but I'm not saying how likely they are to get the screening or how likely they are to not get the screening, or is that the same thing?
You need to know what the question is in the research to answer that one, because I would have assumed 1 being get the screening and 0 being not get the screening, but depending on who did the research, I can't tell you that.
Okay, that's fine. So then my next follow-up question to that is does it, let's just say I don't know that and I'm reading this article or I'm doing my own research. I've collected all this data and now I'm about to start putting it in SPSS. What would I put my yes first over no in that? Whatever my hypothesis is, should I match that to the choice of how there's hierarchy in the variables and the rows, but is there hierarchy in the columns when it comes to how I state my question is what I'm asking you.
Yeah, so if it's an outcome like binary logistic regression, yes, something happened, or yes, they were admitted, or yes, they died. The outcome occurring that you're trying to predict is usually labeled as a 1. So when you read the exponent of B, right, that is going, if it's a 1.44, then it's this group or this predictor says anyone who is age 50 to 55 is 44% more likely, if it's a 1.44, right, to have the test or the screening.
Okay, regardless of how I, well, I guess what I'm trying to ask, I'm not sure if I'm asking it right. Does it matter how I code the outcome variable? I know what you're saying is normal, but does it matter? Like, can I make no's yes and no's 0 and 1s yes, and then can I place them either or? I can just test it.
You can, but like I said, typically an outcome occurring is what we're trying to predict, not an outcome not occurring.
Okay, so the outcome occurring.
Yeah,
Okay,
makes sense.
and that would be the
And
0.
unless that is the whole point, no,
Me-
an outcome occurring would be 1.
1, right?
Yeah, unless it's something that absolutely, like, you know, for example,
Yeah, like surviving. That
going
is
going back to high school, right? Me getting, you know, pulled over for speeding, right? Well, you know, are we really predicting me getting pulled over for speeding, or are we trying to predict me not getting pulled over for speeding in the first month that I have my driver's license, which it happened twice. So, you know, but no, yeah, either way it goes, you can explain it, but like I said, generally something happening is what we're predicting, not the absence of an outcome.
that makes sense in the statement of the hypothesis, but does SPSS can't think for itself? So that's what I'm saying. Do we have to indicate, because it doesn't know what the hypothesis that we even have? We don't ever state that anywhere. That's just something we know as the researcher and the tester. And so I guess what I'm saying is it, I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't, or do the numbers calculate based on where you put the 0 and the 1? I might be overthinking it. I probably am. Ha 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 ha.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple, y'all. 0 didn't happen. 1, it did. Okay.
But see,
SPSS,
that's the part I'm getting that part.
know. Yeah, SPSS doesn't know. All SPSS is doing is looking at the relationships of certain variables on certain outcomes, with 1 being that, you know, one of the 2 outcomes. SPSS
Okay.
doesn't prefer 1 or 0. They're going to tell you what the likelihood of it being is, right? So does anybody share Chris's concern?
Well, see, for the example, but what you've got is survival. Did they survive or not? Or did they die or not? Because I mean, there's a converse to everything. The outcome is they did not die, or they did die, or they did survive, or they didn't survive. Those are opposite.
What does that say? They survived, right?
They survived is 1.
1. Yeah.
And they did not survive is 0. Did they die? 1.
Yes. If they get a 0, they died.
See, I'm thinking
we're not trying to predict death. We're trying to predict survival. Remember, the topic says surviving the Titanic.
Oh, I don't mean on this one. I just meant in general. I would,
yeah,
in my mind,
no,
I would want to, I would, because see, we know a lot of people, most of the people didn't survive. But okay, never mind. I will
Did
try
most
to
of the
go with
people not survive?
I thought most of them
Did?
died. Well, from the movie that I recall. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll find out, I guess.
We'll see. No. All right. Part 2 then, 2 different logistic regressions, right? Writing it up. I want you to be much more explicit in this than just describe the findings, right? I want you to include why you chose those variables, or what order you put them in block 1, block 2, that sort of thing, right? And remember, block 1 typically only has 1 variable. Block 2 would have the 1 from 1 and the new one, right? So don't forget that either, okay? Remember that?
Yeah, can you, I remember you said specifically why you would put a variable in block 1, and you use gender as the example, and I'm trying to remember why. Is it because it's like an unchanged, well, historically, we would have thought of that as this is just a thing that exists, and other things are more variable than that?
Yeah, So good question. Good reminder. Yeah, and SPSS is always going to produce a block 0, which is no predictors, right? So what goes first? And this again goes back to part 3, line number 1. What goes first is important, right? I gave you the example last week of looking at college math classes. Let's use the characteristics that have existed for the longest, right? Like, I don't know, race or gender. And then use high school academic, try to group variables in a logical way like that. So in this one, what do we have? We've got, so block 1 is gender and block 2 is passenger class on their ticket, right? You could do it either way, but you're going to see a difference, right? As soon as you add in more variables, you're going to see a difference. And that's one of the main points of doing hierarchical binary logistic regression, is to watch the impact of a variable, like actually see it happen. When you enter that into the equation, how does it change our outcome, right? Do we predict a lot more variance, or do we predict less, right? So thinking about it, y'all, this is where we need to put our researcher hat on, because theory and literature reviews give us an idea as to what should be used to model X, Y, and Z, right? If it's been done before. So if we were doing like a real research methods class, you wouldn't just do a logistic regression, you would do a research project, right? But if you want to, for your project, have some supporting information for what variables you use, okay? Make sense? I'm not telling you to do a lit review. What I'm trying to tell you to do is understand what you're doing and have a reason and rationale for it. Be able to back it up. Chris, are you still upset because 1 can be 0 and 0 can be 1?
No, I was counting how many people survived.
How many?
I gotta see.
That's an incomplete data set, by the way.
Oh shit, what the hell did I just do? I don't know what I just did. I just did something weird.
You just said shit.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I notice you never curse, and I always do. I have a potty mouth. I'm gonna try better. Harder.
Yes, Monta, I will make you a class recording of what we did last week. Yeah, good idea. And Kara, did you send us a new? What is this?
It's just a visualization of the Titanic to other cruise ships.
Thank you for that.
Random.
The spouse actually mentioned going on a cruise one day, and it made me very like not kind of queasy. I know the Airbus A320. I fly on those a lot. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Everybody see this? Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Difference.
No, what I don't see here, y'all, is how many life rafts are there.
See there on the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's 3 in the back, 7, 8, 9. So 18.
That's a lot of passengers in each one.
Oh, those things are huge.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you, Kara, for enlightening us in the modern cruise ship realm. Okay, everybody good on homework? Hey, we switched it up a little bit, didn't we? We just talked about homework before we even talked about concepts. I'm not going to go too deep into factor analysis this week. I knew your brains were tired last week, this week. And so what I want you to start thinking about as we explore factor analysis for this week and next week, technically, understand what we really are trying to figure out in logistic regression, it's very simple. Well, it can be simple if Chris will let us keep it simple. It's 1 or 0, right? It's something happened or it didn't happen. It's an outcome. When we talk about latent variables, y'all, we are talking about complex things that are not easily measured, like burnout, right? How do I know if I'm burnout? Do I grit my teeth when I sleep, right? Do I have higher blood pressure? Do I not feel like the same, I don't know, when I run after work? Do I not run, right? I mean, there's so many ways of doing it. Do I argue more with my wife, right? Do I forget to call my parents? So many things, right? What about happiness? How do you measure happiness?
Pretty subjective. But
Yeah, but what would you say is generally ways that we can measure happiness?
somebody did that by the look on somebody's face. So if you're smiling, how much money is in your bank account? I'm just kidding. I'm just
I'm still smiling.
I feel like that was something I feel like we covered this a little bit in data collection, in that you got to look at a couple of things, and that was where we did the when we were doing the observations, and then we coded a lot of the work, kind of grouping things together to say this is a set that equal, and so happiness would be smiling, laughing, skipping, whatever. I mean, whatever the things you would pick for that. And then those are the you rank those, and then you have your sub variables is what I was calling them. But I mean, I don't know. But how do you do it? I mean, you got to settle on something.
You ever seen that Rexulti commercial?
What commercial? Oh yeah.
Rexulti? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, smiling, not always indicative, right? But no, you're right, right. So what we're talking about here are really this way of really thinking about, I don't know what happened to happiness and burnout, but health is back. There they are. All right, but yeah, health. What about health? How do we measure health? And not just physical health, but like mental health or healthy relationships, even like even thinking about other ways of measuring the health of something. Y'all, there's absolutely no one question to be able, thank you, Mamta. Yeah, happiness report. There's no one way. I saw this the other day too. There's no one way to just measure it, right? Usually it is made up of groups of variables. And I'm just looking. There we go. Yeah, they've got metrics here. They don't actually have the indicators themselves, except for, yeah. So anyway, sorry, I'm just looking at it. So what are some other latent variables besides the 3 that I gave you today?
Success.
Okay, what does it mean to be successful?
Intelligence.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, the IQ
What is
test.
intelligence? Yeah, what is intelligence?
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to even define, isn't it? Yeah.
It seems like those are just, that's it. If the things that are hard to define are those items. Right. And that was kind of how they described it in the book. What did they say? Indirect. Measure, you're not able to directly measure it.
Right.
So,
Even if you were sitting in front of the person, it would be difficult, right?
mhm.
Yeah. So what I want y'all to do for next week, come back to me with a different latent variable and talk to each other, claim one. Not success, not intelligence, not burnout, not happiness, or not health. How about that? Y'all are never going to participate in class again, right? But no, seriously, think about other latent variables. And don't just think about them, but think about how to measure them using multiple variables, items, questions, that sort of thing. So whenever we start really, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I was just gonna say, can we put that into discussion? I mean, can we just start up our own discussion on that? Or do you want us to be prepared to have that in class?
Yeah, prepared to have in class. Don't feel like you have to submit anything.
Okay. I just, when I have something there, it makes me remember to do it.
This will not count for or against your grade, so I'm not gonna formalize it.
Okay,
so when we start digging into factor analysis, essentially that is what we're trying to figure out is what factors contribute to the measurement of some sort of latent variable, right? And we have to first figure out, out of, let's just say 100 variables, which ones are most associated with the measurement of happiness, right? Or which ones are most associated with a measure of, success, right? Or feelings of preparedness, right? All these kinds of things. Usually, what we're looking at is a questionnaire type method where, and I think he used an example in the book where it's, fear statistics, right? Or, feeling nerdy, like Kara mentioned, nerd alert, with regards to like enjoying learning about stats or all this other stuff. So we're not going to have to, and I'm not trying to overlap into data collection too much. You're not going to have to create a questionnaire, but what I do want you to do is to be able to understand how to recognize the number of variables and the number of items essentially that overlap and can help us better understand and measure a latent variable like happiness or health, right? So typically this means we're going to go through a process of reduction. I can ask you 100 questions right now, and some of them may correlate well with happiness and some of them may not, and that's okay. When I ask one person, I might, or the four of you, right? I might ask you, how often do you smile at people? And I'll say, well, is that a blush you or is that a?
No, I've been accused of being an aggressive smiler. And so that question made me laugh.
That's a good point. That's one of the items on the questionnaire is, do people consider you to be an aggressive smiler?
What does that even mean?
But
like you just smile at everybody?
As soon as she walks in the room, it's smiles all the time, right? Yep.
Okay.
I'm not that person. So I've been not only teaching, but I've been doing national, international, regional workshops. And about 3 or 4 years ago, I had a good friend walk up to me and just say, you do pretty good. I think you should probably at least try to smile a little bit. Because I don't think about it. I'm not trying to be happy. I'm trying to convey a message, right? So going back to this idea of happiness, right? I could ask all of you the same question, and you might all correlate on something that doesn't seem to at all relate to happiness. Like, I don't know, what'd you have for dinner, right? Y'all all might have had insert food, whatever someone just ate during the break or something. But nonetheless, it may appear like that predicts happiness levels to some degree. But when we do that same type of questionnaire with hundreds and even thousands of people, that's when it all really starts to shake out. So remember how I told you, you're going to have more of a larger sample with logistic regression, right? sometimes factor analysis requires even greater numbers as well. So be prepared to have a little bit larger data set whenever we play in this, but I will try to get a clean one. Okay, that's my promise, and I am recording, Jody. So just wanted to do that. So what I want to do, and just to kind of orient you to what we're going to focus on in terms of factor analysis, is I want you to understand what we mean by commonality, right? How common do these factors play with each other? How much overlap may there be? What do we actually do when we extract them? How do we determine how many different factors there are in a data set? And by that, I mean how many variables group together, right? So if we're trying to measure happiness and success in the same survey, in the same questionnaire, then we would hope to have two very distinct factors, right? But I promise you, success and happiness probably correlate a little bit, don't they? Yeah, so remember that. This idea of rotation is just a method to basically isolate these measurements of items differently in order to better understand their predictive power with each other. And the interpretation of results, I would probably spend the most amount of time on that in the textbook because it just takes a minute to kind of dive into it. You're going to not be expected to develop and devise a questionnaire. This is more along the lines of an introduction to how we measure what we intend to measure, right? This is called reliability. You know what I mean? How valid is our information and how reliable can it be if it doesn't, if Jody says that she's very unhappy, no offense, Jody, and Mamta says that she's very happy, but yet you all enter the exact same way on every other item related to happiness, that doesn't provide for a very reliable questionnaire.
Plus, it could be, I mean, it would be so hard, I would think, because like right now, I might be really unhappy, and 5 minutes from now, I might be really happy. So, I mean, I don't see how you could really ever get solid results on such a concept.
Well, why don't I just end class now to keep you happy? How's that sound?
No, because now you got to answer the question. No, that's fine. I'm kidding. No, I can go for that.
No, you're exactly right. So here's a problem with the temporal nature of latent variables like this, right? And that's okay. I think generally, and you can go out in the literature, I'm not telling you to do it right now, but generally you'll find happiness is measured on some sort of broad spectrum over a period of time, or just generalities, right? So I can tell you that, just because I like to pick on my wife, right? That she's not happy with me at least once a day, right? But that doesn't mean overall she's not a happy person, or she doesn't have, or I'm assuming she's happy. Maybe I shouldn't. But that's what we mean by it. So think about it, like if I failed my last test, do I consider myself unsuccessful? You know what I'm saying? Like the questionnaire should orient you to think more broadly or more specifically about your success in a program. You know what I mean? Like that's generally the work that we do on the method side, is we lay it out to make sure that we are collecting, that we're not having interference, right? Not having other things interfere with what we're trying to do. Does that make sense, Sean? Cool. Okay. Go forth and conquer. Any questions for me? And I apologize again for not having, for having that technical mishap and it going away. What I'll do is I will have that re-recorded from last week, probably by Friday. Okay. Or I'm sorry, by rather Saturday morning. We're working from home tomorrow too. Just got the email while y'all were in breakout, so that's always that has challenges with it. Any questions?
Just one question. So looking ahead to
Okay.
what we're supposed to be doing for next week, are we still on track to read chapter 11?
No, just stick with
Okay,
stick with 18. I'm
Okay.
gonna shift that.
thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. Chris, did you have one?
No, that was exact same question. And I was like, I was
Okay.
saying 18 question mark out loud.
Cool. All right. Well, y'all hop off when you're ready. If you want to stick around and chat, let me know.
You guys, thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna sign off here too. I can't remember what Captain Kangaroo used to say, but that.
Y'all have a good weekend.
You
Yeah.
too.
Bye-bye.
It's my birthday weekend.
Oh,
Happy
happy
birthday.
birthday.
Oh, wait
My
a minute.
birthday's on Saturday.
Is
Yeah,
it
I was gonna
today?
say, yeah,
And Thursday. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
That's
Very
right.
good.
This is the they got to. Yeah. Remember, that's how we figured it out. Was the group.
Yeah, y'all should do something on birthdays then for your data set.
That's an interesting spin.
That's a hell no from Chris. All right.
Let's
Bye,
find
y'all.
out.
See y'all.
Bye. All right.